And good afternoon. Thank you for joining Graps TV and the Sicko Show. I'm your host, the Matty Man. We had a show last night that I was supposed to be in the middle of doing a review with somebody, and my sound card just went kaput. You know what? That happens. Life happens, so I said to myself, hey, I got a new soundboard, and I said to myself, I took all these notes. Oh my goodness. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yep, we're going to tell a little story about Saturday night's main event. Oh, yeah. And we got 4 in the chat so far. Thank you. Okay, that's just a little long for me, but hey, it is what it is. New soundboard, got to figure all this stuff out and everything. It's pretty cool though. So I want to start off a little bit with some pre-show thoughts on what was Saturday night's main event. For those who are watching something like this for the first time, I want to say this from the bottom of my heart. You almost got what they used to get when we were growing up. Saturday night's main event was a staple show on a lot of the NBC products, but as we did our research on it, we come to find out that it did not compete very well with Saturday Night Live and was summarily canceled by a lot of the local networks that would rather run Saturday Night Live for the views and the commercials and everything else. It wasn't a flop per se because it did well in New York where it should. The show did really well back then, so they kept it local in New York for a little while and then eventually phased it out and then brought it back, obviously. So I had a lot of expectations for this because we're going to do something retro. It is always been like a thought of mine as a historian overall. I am actually degreed in that, amongst other things. That if you were going to do a retro show, first off, I'm going to hit a few things they did right. The winged belt, that was right. Okay, that's something they did right. The venue layout, they did right. They got that part right because if you go back and you watch a lot of the Saturday night's main event shows from way back in the days, 85, 86, 87, so on and so forth, the layout, I mean, if you were going to do the layout the way they did it, they got that part right. Hey, Catherine, yeah, I finally got YouTube working. Amazingly, when you tell them, okay, if you're not going to let me stream, I'm not going to pay the bill, all of a sudden streaming works. You know how that is? Yeah, I had to do a little bit of a bully thought there with YouTube to get YouTube working correctly. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to be on all 3 anyway because it's like, it is what it is. If you don't have YouTube, I mean, Twitter, Facebook, they're cool. And you know what? I had a lot of viewers just between Twitter and Facebook. If I had YouTube, I'd probably have had more. And not that I even care about that right now because we're still building, we're still growing, we're still moving up. We're not there yet. Now, if we were there and YouTube did their stupid shit, I would have probably been enraged. But it is what it is. We're back on YouTube. Maybe they'll get the super chat thing set up for Daryl right. I mean, they've been doing some stupid stuff on the way, but back to the pre-games here, or the pre-show thought. Things they did right. The winged eagle or the wing belt, that was good. The original belt was good. It was good to hear Jesse Ventura, and even though I mean he tweeted, "Hey, I'm doing this for my kids." You know what? I'm doing this for my kids too, but I'm going to put a little bit of oomph into it. Sir. Um, they at least had somebody there. And the retro people that they did have, Jimmy Hart, Greg Valentine, Coco Beware, those are the three that stuck out in my head. They still stick out in my head because I'm happy, like Daryl said last night. It's always good to check back in on the veterans and just know that they're alive. I mean, for real. I mean, it helps to understand that, some of the people from my childhood are still kicking around to be seen by your childhood. And maybe that just creates a little bit more interest, a little bit more in the older stuff. Maybe some of these WWE fans go back and look at some of this older stuff and they compare it to what they're looking at now. Maybe they start asking for more, because one of my pregame or pre-show thoughts, I hate to use words like that. I don't want to be copying anybody. Uh, I don't want to be copying anybody, but my pre-show thoughts on what they got right, that was right. And of course, some of the players aren't alive. Some of the players are not available. Some of the people they took themselves out of the game, Vince. And, I didn't miss them. I was just saying for the complete feel of it, the complete feel of it for us older folks here. Watching Saturday night's main event last night was almost a throwback. Now for what they got wrong. Before we even get into the actual analysis of the show, I really felt like watching it just a little bit. Number one, I don't think this modern crop of wrestlers is used to having that much closeness. I think they probably should have prepped them a little bit for that, if that makes sense. I think they probably should have lined everybody up and just had them going down the entrance ramps, getting used to the noise, getting used to the touches. Because in a standard WWE event, they've got like 12 feet. And if they walk right down the middle of it, nobody can touch you. Nobody can reach out and grab. None of that stuff there. I think perhaps for this younger talent that's not been in that position, maybe in a good while, or maybe they got out of independent wrestling for getting away from that whole scenario right there. I really felt like WWE had an opportunity there and they dropped the ball, because it showed in the presentation. The presentation of the show, first thing out of the box, you got Sami Zayn, you got Drew McIntyre coming down the ramp there. They were cool. But when we got to the women's matches, you could tell that Liv Morgan was not used to being that close to people all the way down the chute, and not by choice. You could tell Io. You could tell it showed more with the women than it did with the men, but you could definitely see, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that no one, with the exception of maybe Drew McIntyre, maybe Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn still has his social battery on high for these things, and that's fine and dandy. But overall, a majority of the superstars were not used to being in that kind of a confined environment, that kind of closed environment, and not being prepared for that. Wow, we got 28 viewers already. Where'd that come from? Thank you. Oop, that button didn't work. There we go. I was hoping that would be I was hoping that'd be a lot less clapping, but hey, it is what it is. New soundboard, getting used to everything. I think that it would have behooved WWE, and I would like to hope that when they go to run this show again, because they are going to run it again, I think, next month thereafter, they're going to run another Saturday night's main event. I would hope that they would take the lessons from the visual presentation of the show and say, hey, maybe we need to condition, or we need to put our superstars in a better position so that they don't feel so uncomfortable or don't look uncomfortable. I'm not saying they went down there and they felt uncomfortable. I'm saying it looked uncomfortable. All the way down, all the way through. Hey, Stampede, glad you made it, buddy. Appreciate you. Appreciate you shouting out the show too. I really do. I appreciate that a lot. This is, by the way, this is my first live review after doing a whole bunch of watch-alongs, and part of the pregame or part of the pre-show is kind of to explain that I really like doing reviews. The problem is I hadn't done them in so long. I jumped in the game trying to do reviews, trying to be there, trying to be Johnny on the spot, trying to have an alternative with another alternative, and it just didn't work out right. So I went straight to the watch-alongs. Once again, this is part of my pre-show, and I'm bringing this up because it's actually part of what I did. I made sure I got comfortable being on stream for a very long time. I did those live watch alongs and I still do them. We're doing one tonight with New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Style Evolved. We're going to be doing a live watch along for that as well. I did those so that I would be comfortable being on stream for a very long time with people, without people, the whole 9 yards. Very comfortable environment. See, I realized I had a problem and I changed the format of the show to accommodate the problem that I had, build up a little bit of an audience, come back and try it again. That's why I'm here today. That is everything I'm doing today, even plays into my pre show thoughts. And I think WWE probably would have been in better shape if they had gone through the motions with everybody involved and said, okay, here's the chute you're going down. Here's your spacing. Let's get some people beside you so you can get comfortable with it, the whole 9 yards. And I think it would have helped the show because for the first time since I've not been a WWE drone, and I was one, for the first time since that, I am starting to see WWE fans and stans having negative thoughts about some of the WWE shows. And part of what I believe fueled that, not to mention that the product itself is very predictable. I didn't miss a match. I haven't missed a match now in the last two PLEs. I haven't missed many of the matches on Raw. I haven't missed many of the matches on SmackDown, and I haven't missed hardly any of them on NXT. It's very predictable. The show is very predictable if you pay attention to the cues. So I think that in combination with this presentation actually created a lot more of the negative buzz from actual WWE fans. I've seen it. I'm still seeing it today. For a lot of reasons, especially that Gunther match. I'm seeing a lot of negativity on the Gunther match. I'm seeing a lot of negativity on the Io Sky Liv Morgan match. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes there. I'm even seeing some negativity on the U.S. title match, which I do not understand that because at least the right person won. We'll get to that in just a couple of minutes too. But we got 36 viewers in here right now, and I do appreciate that. Like, comment, share, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. We're only going to be here for about an hour, hour and a half. I'm not going to take much of your time. I really appreciate that. I generally tend to believe that we all watch the same show. We all have the same memory of the same show. We're going to break down a couple of the intangibles. We're going to hit a couple of high points. We're going to hit a couple of low points, and we're going to do it all together. And I promise you this is a labor of love. I'm coming ahead to say that some of the stuff I've got on my mind right now, I'm 100% sure people aren't going to like. Some of the stuff I have on my mind, you're going to like. But it's all good for you. Yes. Yeah, exactly. There's not a lot of spontaneity to it. And the problem was they spent so much time building this show, booking this show, promoting this show, that I actually expected for the first time I've been watching WWE PLEs this year, and I don't think this was a PLE, but this is the first time that the show was not only underwhelming overall, some of it was overbooked, some of it was underbooked, some of it I don't think fans fully understood the impact of it. because it just seems like, looking at some of the negativity, they either get it or they don't get it. And if they don't get it, they just keep coming back trying to get it. And at this stage of the game with WWE, where it's at, how it's operating in its processes right now, I think it's going to take an absolute revolution from the people who are spending the money. I think it's going to take some sort of a revolution on their part to get back to that. And one of the things that I was really nervous about, we're going to get into this now. I'm getting ready to step right into the review. One of the things I was absolutely nervous about with this show presentation is that you would catch a smart mark that would go back and watch a whole bunch of Saturday night main events on Peacock, and they're like, okay, I've seen all these shows. I know how this is supposed to go. Those were the ones that you needed to be careful with. See, WWE has amassed an army. Not necessarily even useful idiots, but they have amassed an army of idiots. And I'm not talking about regular fans. I'm talking about those ones that are absolutely annoying even to regular fans. WWE has amassed an army of those. WWE has amassed an army of researchers. WWE has amassed an army of, I went back and looked at this, that, and the third, and it's not even close. What you're saying about insert promotion that's not WWE. It's any of them. Yeah, it's not even close to that. It's not even close to that. Those are the people right there that I think were the most disadvantaged by this show overall. And I do believe we are at a precipice at this point on December 15th of 2024 that I do believe WWE's luck has finally run out on the pay window and a lot of other things, and we're going to get into that right now. So, without any further ado, and without any more gilding of the lily, we're going to get right into the a glorified house show called Saturday Night's Main Event, and apparently this is show number 37. I did not know this, but they did have a dark match between the Motor City Machine Guns and A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Of course, we did not get to see that match at all, but let me see. I forgot. I lost the results there for a second. Give me a second. Yeah, they Motor City Machine Guns beat A-Town Down Under in a dark match to kick off the event. I'm hoping to catch some video of that at some point in time. Obviously, I did not go to New York to watch the show live, but I heard it was a decent match. I want to be able to see some video. If they have some video, if some cell phone person shot some video to see how that looked and so on and so forth. But after that, then we would get Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. Drew McIntyre obviously coming back early. Apparently, Bronson Reed was supposed to be the one doing some feuding. And since Bronson Reed decided to do a swan dive off the top of the steel cage, break his ankle, have to have surgery, that meant they had to get Drew McIntyre back. I don't know if that drove a little bit of that now viral interview that he did with Busted Open, where he dropped the mic, walked out, and said, fuck this. I don't know if that was part of what was driving that. Give me 1 second here. I got to check one thing. Let's see here. Okay. I don't know if that was driving the attitude in that, but it was definitely driving the attitude of this match right now. Sami Zayn had his energy that Sami Zayn always brings to every match. Drew McIntyre just looked like he could be anywhere else but here, and that's going to be my theme of this show. Yeah, the only good thing in that match right there was Sami losing. Like I said, we've all seen the matches. We're gonna go through them. We're gonna casually analyze them, and for that part of it right there, this may be uncomfortable, but you know what? At this stage of the game, I don't care. This match was an absolute spot fest. And if it had been on any other program but this match right here, but this program right here, we'd never hear the end of it. I mean, Twitter would be full of gymnastics, flippy shit, spot fest, the whole 9 yards. Clearly, clearly, beyond a shadow of a doubt, this match was absolutely positively phoned in from the beginning, and it never got better. It just never got better. It's like they were trying to see who could out flippy the other one. It was very conjointed. It looked like they were trying to call it in the ring, maybe, but it came off as just completely phoned in, start to finish. Crowd was trying to get into it, and some of that sounded like piped in crowd noise to me. But I didn't see a whole lot of action from the fans themselves. Usually, they're popping up, they're screaming, they're hollering, you got at least 3 or 4 fans standing, doing claps, chants, the whole 9 yards. Didn't see any of that. And it really felt like I said in my pre-show thoughts there, really felt like not many of them even wanted to be there. And from the curtain jerk, you could see it in Drew McIntyre's eyes. Drew McIntyre's eyes was like, I'd rather be anywhere but here, but they gave me a bag, so I'm going to take the bag. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to go through the motions. I'm going to win. I'm going to slip a Claymore in there. And there was absolutely nothing about this match that was remarkable at all. Most of it was predictable. Most of it was phoned in. There were about 4 or 5 good botches in the middle of this thing. That's the other theme for tonight. Tonight was an absolute botch fest. Last night, sorry, I'm still thinking it's yesterday. Yeah, last night was an absolute botch fest. I mean, it was from start to finish. I think we're kind of fortunate at this stage that we didn't get any major injuries. I think they picked up a couple of them. But yeah, I mean, Drew and Sammy usually don't put on that bad of a match, but whatever this was they were talking about at this point in time right now absolutely did nothing for me. Nothing for me at all. And if I had been doing the watch along, obviously I would have given it a fan standpoint. But even as a fan, I was sitting there like, I'm glad I didn't do a watch along for this one, because everybody would have tuned out by about, I don't know, the end of the Sammy match. Because I wasn't feeling that match at all. And I was actually looking forward to the next match. I knew what this was. It served its purpose. It got out there. The only thing that it really failed at is it didn't heat the crowd up at all. And if you're sitting back there in Gorilla Triple H and your crowd is stale and you start off with what should have been a banger ass match with a lot of high spots in it, and your crowd is automatically not into this, that should have been an alarm right there. That would have been turning around and going, okay, guys, I don't know what the hell's going on out there in that ring right now, but the rest of you, at least put a smile on your face, do whatever it is, hit your catchphrases, mean what you say what you mean, go out there with that energy, bring these fans back. Because I hate to say it, but I think Drew lost the fans right there. I think the fans were lost. Not lost as in they can't find their way. I think they lost them momentum-wise just with this match. So your curtain jerk match comes off flat. And of course, Drew McIntyre picked up the pin with a surprise Claymore out of nowhere. And 1, 2, 3, whole 9 yards. And, Stampede over there was 7.25 out of 10. Decent match. Nothing that would make it stand out from any other TV matches they put on. So essentially going through the progressions. Yeah, they were going through the motions. I didn't rank them that high. That match right there was about a 5 for me from a fan standpoint. I'll give an overall rating when I'm done. But from a fan standpoint, I didn't really get that energized out of this match. And in fact, when they flashed the Liv Morgan Io Sky coming up next, I'm like, okay, now we're getting into the crux of some stuff. Now we're going to get it. Now we're going to get it. Now we're going to get it. But of course, like I said, Drew McIntyre picks up the win with the Claymore. And yeah, that match was nothing to write home about. Phoned in. Personalities were at, I mean, I don't know if their social batteries were dead, but they had no social personality or anything to go along with that match. Not a good curtain jerker. I mean, for those folks who criticize other promotions for how they open up their shows, there's a reason they open them up that way. And I thought for a chance that when WWE was kicking the matches off at the beginning of the show and not having some long-winded, belated, long-ass promo to open the show up with, I thought to myself, okay, they finally figured it out. They're going to get this crowd hyped up. They're going to have at least one, but there were no cool-down matches. None of the matches in this card were cool-down. So I guess we started off with the cool-down match. Sami Zayn, Drew McIntyre. Like I said, Drew McIntyre picking up the win and going over Sami Zayn in an absolutely lackluster, forgettable match. And I hope Drew's proud of his work because I'm about 100% sure if we still had El Generico there, El Generico would have something to say about that match. Sami Zayn, on the other hand, probably happy with his performance. He got a couple of chuckles out of the crowd. He got a couple of crews. He got a couple of happies. I'm pretty sure he feels like he accomplished what he set out to do. And that's perfectly fine for Sami. Great on you. Go for it. But then we had Liv Morgan and Io Sky come up after this, and I thought, okay, now, give me 1 second here. Thought to myself automatically, now we're going to have a match. Now we're going to have a good match. And once again, back to the pre-show thoughts where it seemed to me like WWE did not properly prepare its young performers for how that entrance was going to come off, how all of that stuff is. Because even when you looked at some of their bigger arena shows where they had the setup the same way with a long shoot where they have to go through the crowd and so on and so forth, they still had that 6 foot of distance on either side. 5 foot, maybe even 5 foot was enough distance. So they had enough distance so the superstars could walk literally down the middle, do their little poses and the whole 9 yards and not have to worry about being touched. And so when they got to this little bit more of a confined area, it just really seemed to throw the whole show off. And same thing, Io Sky, her entourage almost didn't come down with her because they were like, wow, these people are close. And for those, I kind of felt like that was an awkward moment because if you've been to the Joshis or if you've been to Stardom or if you've seen New Japan Pro Wrestling, they have a lot of tight entrances getting in. Pause. And, overall, they should be quite used to being touched, being handled, so to speak, being in that close quarter, being in that thing, looking around, realizing that the person is literally this close to you. They've been in that environment. So it kind of surprised me a little bit they were took back on it. We're going to get to this part of the match too, we're going to get this part of this match because this needs to be said. I've been wanting to say this on a review for probably about 6 months. If you ever knew that WWE is the most out of touch professional organization compared to other like-minded professional organizations, every single time, Io Sky, Kairi Sane, any of those, Nakamura, same difference. They do not know how to guide these wrestlers to their product. And I think part of the problem with Io Sky, and I think part of the problem with these people, is that the gimmicks that worked in their previous promotions in Japan don't resonate at all with the United States crowd. They do with certain United States crowds. Some of us understand how it's supposed to look. Some of us appreciate how it's supposed to look. And we got 56 viewers. Holy crap. Thank you. Um, the presentation they have for their foreign wrestlers, not just Japan, not just Mexico, but everywhere. All of their German wrestlers, the things that work in their previous promotions, I don't think WWE has come up with a comparable model of presentation for their audience. Because none of that is none of that is a wrestler's problem. Some people say, "Oh, if you can't talk this, that, and the other," and I understand what you're saying, but the reality of it is that WWE either A, doesn't care to inform their fans, B, doesn't know how to translate to their fans, or C, they've never tried. And I'm going with C and B because I don't think WWE knows how to present a Japanese wrestler. I don't think WWE knows how to present a Hispanic wrestler. And I'm damn sure starting to get convinced they don't know how to present German wrestlers, and those should be the easiest ones to do. Keep them quiet, give them a manager, let them go be German. That gimmick is built in. But it showed. It really showed. Io Sky coming down with her usual, what would be a high performing, high energy entrance if she were in Stardom or New Japan Pro Wrestling. And it was like, for the rest of the fans because they just don't get it. They don't understand the motions. They don't understand the hand gestures. They don't understand the head bobs. They don't understand any of that stuff because they don't understand that culture. See, those things resonate in that culture and they don't resonate in our culture. So, once again, we've got another entrance right there that could have been better, wasn't better. And Liv Morgan on her way down just acted like a spoiled, rich, stuck up bitch. And that's just the end of that. I mean, I've seen her work a show like that before. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Stampede. They don't the majority of the fans that watch Io Sky or Nakamura or Kairi Sane or any of that crowd, they don't understand that that's a standard and very highly praised entrance somewhere else. They look at it like she's having a seizure. And I kind of hate it for her, but then again, I don't give her too much of a break because she did resign. I mean, if you're in an environment like that and they don't appreciate it, usually you go to another area, you build up those fans where they understand, you bring them back with you. That's what Drew McIntyre did because nobody got Drew McIntyre until probably about 5 or 6 years ago. Drew McIntyre always was a good wrestler and he was always a brooding wrestler, but nobody ever really got Drew McIntyre probably until I'm going to say about 6 years ago is when they finally started getting him because Wade Barrett had probably done some help with that. And a lot of them, but you have to usher them into it. Like they don't understand British strong style. I think that's why they make so much fun of Will Ospreay. They don't understand British strong style. They don't understand Japan or New Japan Pro Wrestling strong style. They don't understand any of that. They definitely don't understand lucha. I mean, we figured that out right now. WWE fans have no clue what lucha really is. They know what they've seen presented to them, and they damn sure don't know what an underground match looks like because none of them are going over to watch Bloodsport. Not a single one of them are going to be tuning into Bloodsport today. They might just on a whim or something like that, but nobody, I don't see a lot of staple WWE fans lining up to watch Bloodsport. I really don't. So I don't think they get any other style other than that hard cam style of wrestling. And anything not that hard cam style of wrestling, which I should have probably prefaced this show. If you believe hard cam style wrestling is the only way to do it, this is not the show for you. This is not going to be the show for you because it just isn't. It's a Drew Galloway creation. I think he had to come up with. I think he had his Stone Cold moment probably what, a year and a half ago now. I'd say about a year and a half ago, Drew had his Stone Cold moment where he realized they were never going to book him correctly, so he had to book himself correctly. I mean, Drew McIntyre has that ability, has that privilege. Not everybody has that privilege, and it really shows. But anyway, they're done. They got their entrance down there. The match between Liv and Io Sky was not only nothing to write home about. I gave it a 1. I gave it a 1 because Liv Morgan actually phoned that thing in, and Io Sky was out there busting her ass to make a passable match. Io Sky was trying to wrestle her to a passable match. And I'm going to give you a little insight here, too, for those people who don't watch Stardom, who don't know what Joshis are. And the highlight of that match is everybody seeing the knee that Io Sky gave her. The reason Io Sky gave her that knee is because she botched so many times. And Io Sky's a Joshi. And if you don't know about that, yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It would have been, probably. I would agree with you on that, Stampede. But Io Sky is a Joshi. And if you mess with a Joshi, I've seen the one that people were kind of laughing a little bit about the Mercedes Moné match back. I think it was Full Gear that she had that match, and I cannot remember that other lady's name. I do apologize. She was also a Joshi. But she got fed up with Mercedes Moné and started beating the living shit out of her in the ring. And people were like, wow, this looks real. Congratulations, it was real. When you mess with a Joshi long enough, when you get on their nerves long enough, they're going to straighten you out. They're going to hit that reset button. They're going to hit you with that knee. And that knee spot that you guys are looking at right there, I really truly believe she might have almost broke. I hope she almost broke it and didn't break it, because the last thing we need is 2 Becky Lynches in WWE. That's the absolute last thing we need is 2 Becky Lynches in WWE, because Becky Lynch is on her way back. And people are getting excited about that. I personally am excited because at least it's somebody else to look at besides the standard same old, same old. And I'm hoping the time off probably gave her a little bit more energy, a little bit more desire, and a little bit more of that Becky Lynch fire that I could appreciate. Aside from the fact that the only reason she got to be the man is because she got her nose broke by Nia Jax. My biggest concern coming out of this match is that Liv Morgan will wind up being the man version 2.0, because Io Sky was trying to wrestle her to a passable match and she just wasn't having it. So Io was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to knock your brains out. And she did. That knee spot, by the way, was solid and it was real. And I'm thankful for Io Sky hitting the reset button the way she hit it. I'm thankful for the statement she made. And to be honest with you, the absolute wrong woman won that match. I'm glad she didn't break her nose last night, because I didn't want her to have the street cred to go along with that shitty match. I mean, Liv Morgan not only phoned it in, she played in the ring long enough until Io Sky got mad at her and knocked her brains out. I mean, that was pretty much how that went. But, Liv Morgan picked up the win with whatever the crap she calls that thing now. Oblivion, I think it is, because you've got to be oblivious to appreciate her. I guess she came up with the correct name for that, because you absolutely have to be oblivious to appreciate what she's doing right now. I appreciate that she is branching out. I appreciate that Liv Morgan is getting flowers for being the Gilbert of the women's division for so damn long. That's a good call out too. That's a good call out. She was basically the Gilbert of the women's division for 8 years. So I'm glad to see her getting her flowers, because I knew she had more talent than that. But I never thought in my heart of hearts, my mind of minds, or my dream of dreams that she deserved to be in this position for this long. I mean, I'm good with giving loyalty runs for a couple of months, but this right here looks like a full out program. And it looks like it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And the sad part of all of this is Rhea Ripley is the best woman in the women's division on the main roster. And I think the only reason that Rhea can even get up and go to work anymore is because you got 3 women coming out of NXT that are actually going to be legitimate wrestling challenges for her. And I think she's trying to hold on to the last minute to get a couple of matches in with those ladies. I'm really hoping that she's weighed her options, because if she has to try to wrestle Liv Morgan to a passable match at a PLE, that's not going to end well either. Y'all know that. I know that. And if Liv Morgan doesn't know that yet, maybe that Excedrin headache number 146 from Io Sky got her attention. Either way, though, it was passable. 9 minutes and 5 seconds on that match. By the way, 10 minutes and 5 seconds on the McIntyre Sami Zayn match. We're going somewhere with this, so kind of bear with me. Not to be outdone. It was almost like, from that point on, and like I said in the pre-show thoughts here, it really looked like the wrestlers didn't want to be there. This continued on mostly through the night. The only break in the strain you had would be a forced Cody Rhodes entrance. And you could tell he was forcing it. You could tell he was hamming it up. But we're not there yet. But once again, we have Gunther, we have Damian Priest, and we have Finn Balor in, triple threat match. It'd go 11 minutes and 5 seconds, and I swear to God, it felt like 5 minutes. It went through so quick, it was so rushed, it was so pushed, it was so forced that I, honest to God, thought we were looking at a 5-minute match. When I looked at the stat on that match, I was like, no way. No way they got to 11 minutes and 5 seconds on that match. They had to be counting the entrances. And they didn't. They didn't count the entrances. I went back and kind of rewatched it when I saw that stat, because that match only felt like it was 5 minutes long. It felt like 5 minutes of forced bullshit. Once again, when I say this, I want you to understand, I am a Damian Priest fan because I'm always a fan of the older underdogs that actually made their way into the business now and they're functioning at a high level. I'm always pulling for them to get at least a couple of title runs to go along with stuff. Do I think Damian Priest is going to be a Hall of Famer? Nah. And I hope I live long enough to be proved wrong, but I don't see him in the Hall of Fame. Finn Balor, maybe a second ballot. Gunther, I think when the new wears off of the chop machine right there, I don't think he's going to make it either. So we're not really looking at Hall of Fame material here, per se. And once again, we're sitting here looking at this moment where everybody phoned it in. We had flippy shit. We had choppy shit. If we had this match in another promotion, people would not shut up about it. They would not shut up about how bad it was and everything else, but it was a WWE match. And so, even though I did see a lot of people saying, wow, this is really, really bad, and I do see that, I did see a lot of people glazing over it, and I would like to know what the glaze was. And in fact, I think I'm gonna say something that's a little bit different from what Mr. Starks said last night, Catherine. I think this match would have functioned better without Gunther in it and a title. This match would have been so much better if there wasn't that albatross of trying to win the title and having to deal with Gunther. Because I've never been impressed with Gunther. I was impressed with Walter. Gunther, on the other hand, doesn't do much for me. So I'm going to go out on a different tangent than what Mr. Starks went out with last night. This match would have functioned better without Gunther and the title. And they gave you a couple of teases of it. And once again, for as long as that match was, the finish was rushed. Obviously, Gunther picked up the win, and at least they gave him a little bit of a confidence look after it looked like they weren't even golden shoveling him. Looked like they had a golden bulldozer when they were burying this sumbitch. So at least they let him pick up the win, and he looked a little bit more confident going out of it. But honestly, I think this match would have been just fine without him or the title. I think the match would have hit a little bit better if it were Damian Priest and Finn Balor for absolutely nothing except the hell of it. If they had brought that energy between the two of them with nothing on the line except pride, I think that match would have shown a little bit better than it did. I think the entrance would have probably been cleaner because at least Finn Balor didn't seem to care. And I swear, I think that mask over his head was protective gear. I really do. I think he was keeping from freaking out. Maybe he's claustrophobic. I don't know. But you say, well, he's wearing a hood. What makes it? No. Some people can do that. There are sensitive hoods for people who are claustrophobic. I have one when I have to do MRIs. I'm claustrophobic. And they put a hood over my head so I can't see how claustrophobic I am. So it could be that that was that. But he was really the only, to be honest with you, Finn Balor was the only energetic soul all night long, aside from Cody Rhodes. Because, Cody's position within the company means he has to show up with a smile. He has to show up with energy every day. He's got a title. Which is another reason why I can't see them keeping the title on Gunther that much longer. It's fine to walk around with an Intercontinental title for not even going to mention those number of days because it's an unholy day to me. Just got out of church, don't want to mess with that. But the reality of it is you could have probably gotten through that match without Gunther or the title. It didn't mean anything. I mean, it was there, but it was really a prop match. And nothing really got solved. Nothing got taken care of in that match. It was horrible. It was a spot fest too. And I mean, I realized it was a spot fest and a chop fest. But they got through it to a passable finish. Gunther wins with his finish, the power bomb. I know they got a weird name for it. It's just a power bomb and a stack up. He wins. Overall, I'm still not there with how this show's going, but at least as someone who viewed this show for exactly one reason and one reason alone, at least they got that part mostly right. And I say mostly right because not even that was perfect. I don't expect perfection in the ring, but I expect a damn good close second. When you're working a title, and all of these were title matches except for Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre, when you're working a title match, you're supposed to put a little extra mustard on your hot dog. That's just it. You're supposed to put a little extra out there. You're supposed to have a little bit more bite to it. It's supposed to have a little bit more twang to it when you're out there working a title match as opposed to working just a grudge match or a, damn, we put this together last week, let's make it work match, which is really how most of this shit came together. But if you're doing that and you're holding your own, usually you're in great shape. But I gotta say, the amount of turning on Chelsea Green is remarkable in and of itself. That part of it right there is, I will never understand a WWE fan. Y'all spent like how many weeks now? Team Chelsea, Team Chelsea, Team Chelsea, Team Chelsea, and a few mention. I will use correct names for this because I have a lot of WWE viewers and I'm respectful enough of the names they give them. Mention. I heard Team Minchin, I heard Team Chelsea, and there were a lot more Team Chelsea than were Team Minchin. Then we get to the day. You've been foaming at the mouth over this thing. You've been screaming. You've wasted 37% of your tweets and half your post on saying Chelsea Green should be. Then we get there. What happened? Can somebody tell me what happened there? Because according to what I saw coming into this match, the right person won. Chelsea Green did win with what I thought was an astonishing unprettier. I think she's starting to turn that move into something like what Sol Ruka does with her Soul Snatcher. See, Sol Ruka took Randy Orton's style of finish, not the exact finish, but a style of finish, put her little flair on it, and it looked really good. And Chelsea Green been trying to make that unprettier work in a match because logically nobody's going to stand there while you hook their arms, turn back to back, and all this other. Logically, even if you're in a fight, this move makes no sense. If you're in an actual legit street fight, this move makes no sense to anybody. But she's been doing a lot more crafting with it, getting crafty with it. And Chelsea Green finished her off with one hellacious unpretty her, sorry, and didn't even slow down. And for what it was worth, the interference part of it, the interference part, which I can grade down a little bit because I didn't think it was necessary to get the match over. I didn't think Chelsea Green needed any help to beat Michin because if you've ever watched TNA, once again, if you've ever watched just TNA, Chelsea Green and Michin put on some good matches there. Real good matches. This was not necessary. I don't think they let them go out there and work the speed they wanted to, and it showed. To me, it seemed like they practiced one speed and wrestled a different speed. And it shows. There were a few botches here and there. The right person won. Yeah, it was very sloppy and clunky in several spots. I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy for Chelsea. And yeah, Gunther is a more sanitized version of Walter, which is probably why I can't stand Gunther. And I actually caught a Walter. Hey, I caught a Walter Ricochet match. There's a Walter Ricochet match out there from WXW that was worth watching. That was a very passable match for both of those gentlemen. Now, I'm not going to say it was 5 stars, but it was at least 3 3/4 to 4 on that. But anyway, the thing that killed me about this match was not the finish and not how clunky it was. The interference was not necessary. The interference was almost like a red pill for WWE fans because you can't suspend disbelief enough because you're not. Let me say this the correct way. You've not ventured out far enough yet to know what Chelsea Green and Michin actually could bring to the table when it was Mia Yim. You've not ventured far enough out if it was the correct finish. Chelsea picking up the win there with the unpretty her. A lot of celebration going on, as should be. And, of course, apparently now we've got the flash through that Chelsea Green and Matt Cardona become the first husband-wife team ever to hold the United States title, which, you know what? I'm not even going to make a joke about that. I think somebody needs to acknowledge what Matt Cardona has done on the independent circuit. And if this is WWE's way of acknowledging Matt Cardona, good on them because they should be. And to be honest with you, I still think he has intrinsic value to any promotion that he touches. He is the reason I'm actually buying the Ring of Honor pay-per-view and doing a live watch along for that too, because otherwise I didn't see a whole lot of passability on that thing. If I was going to say Tony Khan phoned the show in, this is going to be the show I think he phones in. At this stage of the game, I think because of all the negative press to it and everything else, I think he's lost interest in the show, and I think he's going to phone that one in. Matt Cardona still has value to this business. Whether anybody wants to admit that or not, Catherine and I both were down at WrestleCade. Matt Cardona wrestled a couple of matches down there, and he wrestled like the rent was due in front of 500 people. Okay? He worked probably, I think, a better match than what he worked on Rampage the other night. I think he worked 2 phenomenal matches that were way better than that Rampage match in front of 500 people. The man gets out and works the craft, so he deserves it. Chelsea gets out and works the craft. She deserved this. After being the stepchild of the women's division and almost catching that "we hate Canadians, so here's a fart" gimmick, after going through all of that, she deserved to be the United States champion. I don't think Michin has gone through a third of the abuse that Chelsea Green has gone through, kept a smile on her face, and kept working the matches the same way she worked them. Yeah, it's WWE just it's almost like the WWE fan doesn't understand a clean match anymore. And I solidly and I honestly I wholeheartedly blame Roman Reigns' run for that. I think WWE fans got so enamored with Roman Reigns and how his finishes came out. I do believe that translates into how they look at wrestling right now. It's like if you have a clean finish, you don't get any reaction to it. But if you got just a little bit of that main roster fuckery, they're all over that. As we would find out. Anyway, Chelsea Green picking up the win with the unpretty her. I got that right. And the celebration that followed was needed. I agreed with it. And for once in a very long time for a WWE show, I actually marked out for that moment. I did. I'm not even going to lie. And if I'd have been doing the watch along, I don't know if it would have been that big of a mark out like I did for Toni Storm. But I think it would have been a pretty damn good close second because I felt a sigh of relief now because Chelsea Green has gold in WWE. Now, granted, she doesn't have the big gold, but gold is gold. If there's only 3 or 4 belts there and there's 30 or 40 women, gold is gold. Okay? Don't hate the player, hate the game on that one. You know, the fact of the matter is you got gold. Do I think Chelsea Green's going to be a first ballot, second ballot, or even third ballot Hall of Famer? No, I do not. I don't think she's got the goods to go into the Hall just yet. I think she needs one more reimagining character. And I think she needs to go back to one character she had in TNA without the TNA, by the way. I think if she went back to that character and held that character for a little while, maybe a year, year and a half, and if she could carry this title with her through that whole thing, that would be gorgeous. Not being greedy, just happy they got the title on the right person. Because after all of this joy and elation and happiness, we finally have a legit feel-good moment in WWE. Then we got to head to that main event, where Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes would do battle for the Winged Eagle Belt WWE title. And of course, once again, sticking with the original theme of the pre-show. Yeah, Catherine, I think that's just them. And I stand on what I said last night. I think if Matt Cardona were not such a big hit in AEW right now, I think Chelsea's fans would come back around. I really, honest to God, believe that. It's the only explanation I've got for, because you've been seeing this stuff too. The last 3 weeks, like Chelsea, next U.S. champion. Chelsea, next U.S. champion. The day of the fight, 10 minutes before the end of the show. You know, if Chelsea wins the U.S. title, it's going to bring the title value down so badly. Pick a lane, pick a struggle, pick a brain cell, and stick with it. You know? So, I mean, as far as what I saw on the twits here and everything else, I'm not paying that any mind, but I am paying this, I'm paying this 63 viewers a whole lot of mind. Thank you very much. Going to take a second. And that's going to get me ready for the main event, where it was the main event, where finally, after 2 hours, This is where WWE got me with the okie doke here. I was under the impression myself that Jesse Ventura was going to be doing more commentary than he did. So finally, for the main event, and I didn't even cover Pat McAfee because I don't care. I'm not into that movement. I escaped that. Finally, we got Jesse the Body Ventura down on commentary for the Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens fight. I don't know if that was supposed to give Jim Ross vibes, but it missed. And it missed for a lot of reasons. It missed because they didn't do the bait and switch until an hour before the show started and said, oh, well, Jesse Ventura is not going to be doing too much of the heavy lifting. Let me translate that for you. Jesse Ventura is liable to start talking some conspiracy shit if you let him talk for a very long time. Let me translate that out for you right now. I love Jesse Ventura, and a lot of the stuff he says I don't believe to be a conspiracy theory, but a lot of WWE's fan base may consider that as that's a conspiracy theory. Yeah, they may consider it most of what it, but you can't let him go for long on the mic. I think 10 minutes was all they really wanted to give him. And I understand why, because Jesse Ventura he'll go off on a tangent in the middle of something. He'll be talking about a wrestling match, and the next thing you get is going to be like a Putin moment, like right in the middle of a wrestling match. You're like, that's why Vladimir Putin, blah, blah, blah. You know, you're going to get that out of Jesse Ventura. So that's probably why they restrained him from doing a lot of commentary, because everybody knows once Jesse gets going, there ain't no telling what's going to come out of his mouth. And not necessarily sure that's what they wanted to pile up on the top of a big shit sandwich that we called Saturday night's main event, because the main course of this shit sandwich showed up in the form of Cody Rhodes forcing. I would really. Yeah, I'm going to stand on this. Cody Rhodes' entire entrance all the way through the match, everything he did was forced. He did not do one natural thing. I see what I did there. He didn't do one natural thing in that ring. Not one. Sold the same stuff, sold the same kayfabe. Introduced new kayfabe into the kayfabe because we didn't have enough kayfabe to go with the kayfabe to begin with. We didn't have enough of an underdog. He had to create an even bigger underdog coming into this match here. Kevin Owens, I said when Kevin Owens was billing this match, I came right under his post and I said, you know what, just for once, for one night only, since we're getting the Winged Eagle belt for one night only, I would like to get Kevin Steen. And I truly got Kevin Cartman. I mean, as much as I wanted Kevin Steen, I got Kevin Cartman. Now, don't get me wrong. I do understand the spots. I understand a lot of the history. I understand a lot of Cody Rhodes' previous turns and so on and so forth, and what worked better and what didn't work better. I do believe Kevin and Cody sat down and studied some match tape and said, okay, yeah, when we did this didn't work out well, and the fans were supposed to go for it, so let's try this. Anyway, whatever they put together in that ring, Cody is naturally very engaging. I mean, you know, I agree, Stampede. Once again, see, you and I are people, and I think Catherine, us three are people that venture outside of the WWE dome and watch other stuff. And we like other stuff along with what WWE brings to the table. WWE brings dessert. I mean, I look at WWE like dessert. Whenever I'm watching it, when I'm doing a watch along show for WWE, I always look at WWE like dessert. Not very great dessert, but it's good enough to go along with a good meal that I get from watching other promotions. I get the meat and potatoes from New Japan. I get the meat and potatoes from AEW. I get the meat and potatoes from actually GCW. I think GCW had really engaging content until they let Effie cut a promo. And now I think they're having to rebuild a little bit, and I think they took the step in the right direction last night Looks like an olive branch has been extended when Chris Jericho shows up for a GCW show. I'm going to go with that, but I've always looked at WWE as dessert. The problem is this time it wasn't even banana pudding. I don't know what to call this match. I don't care to know what to call this match. I know it was also a spot fest. I know it had forced areas it didn't need. The match itself was not even passable. And the face won with a heel move. Absolute stupidity. Whoever in their right mind produced that match should be fired. They should. There's just no other way around it. If you produce a match like that and the heel is coming across more like a face and the face is coming across more like a heel and actually winning the match with a heel move, and on top of all that, the referee makes the count from the floor. And yes, Catherine, Cody's title run has been boring. I don't think, and no, WWE has some real heels. They're just not letting him get within 100 miles of them. And I don't understand why. They have people that can be real heels. I mean, Kevin Owens is starting to get close to being a majority good heel. He's becoming very passable as a heel now. I think he's really engaged to his heel roots. And I think he's embracing it more because I think he's decided that this space thing ain't really doing merch sales very well. The heel aspects, Kevin Steen always sold. Kevin Steen sold. Back in the Ring of Honor days, the one show or two that I went to, Kevin Steen would be out of merch an hour and a half before anybody else. Kevin knew how to move it. Kevin knows how to move that stuff. And I think he's figuring out that the only way he's going to have more of a future, at least monetarily, is just to go to being a heel. And Kevin was out there, and don't get me wrong. Now, when I say the match was shit, I don't mean the performers were shit. I mean the production was shit. Kevin Owens was out there working like the rent was due, and he was 2 payments behind on his car. Yeah, I felt a lot of Michael Hayes in that match. I really did. I felt a lot of Michael Hayes. Michael Hayes doing a lot of wasted chair shots that weren't necessary. Michael Hayes is known for producing chair matches. When the chair comes into the match, you can about 100% believe that Michael Hayes has got a fingertip on it somewhere, at least a touch. He may not produce the whole match, but it's got to have that chair in there and all that. But in the dumbest part, the kick in the nuts for the end of the night is the best angle happened off television again. This is not creating. Like, if I were not doing a watch-along show for Raw tomorrow night, I would not even be tuning in. Nothing this show did moved me. Not a single thing. Now, and I'm even throwing in the U.S. title thing because that doesn't move me to watch Raw tomorrow. It moves me to watch a little bit of SmackDown just to see what kind of jawing we're going to get on Friday. That was the only match out of all of these matches that created any buzz for me. He's currently the vice president of El Generico's orphanage. I like that. That's a good one, Stampede. I like that a lot. That's really good right there. And we got 66 viewers in here. I'm about done for the day on this one. We're going to have a live watch along again tonight at 8 o'clock. I want to get ready for my date. I'm not even playing, guys. I got to get ready for that thing. But I wanted to step in here and I wanted to do this thing. But let me get back to the finish of this match here. The finish of the match sucked. It was cagey. It was out of character for both. because I almost felt like Kevin. I almost called him Kevin Steen. I almost felt like Kevin Owens should have kicked out. I really do. If any spot deserved a Hulk up, if any spot deserved a Hulk up, that spot right there deserved it. But Cody Rhodes wins with a crossroads on a chair, like all good faces do. And I think that match was, let's see how long. That match went 12 minutes too. So overall tonight, we had 20, 31, 40. We had almost a balanced show. We had 50 minutes and some change of actual wrestling on the show. If you count the dark match tonight, if you count the dark match last night, we had pretty close to an hour of actual wrestling in a 2-hour presentation. Which have you been following WWE for the last 2 years? This is the first time they've cracked 20 minutes. 25 minutes, I'm sorry. 25 minutes in a 2-hour show. This is the first time they've cracked or even peaked at half the show being wrestling in over 4 years. This is the very first show of all of the shows where they have actually almost wrestled for almost half the show. 25% is what they've been averaging. So I will go back to what they did right, and I will say that almost an hour's worth of wrestling in a 2-hour show is something that's right. Now, the rest of it was shit, but at least they got that part right. They got Chelsea right. They got the timing right. They got a lot of that right, because I can give a passing grade to a show as long as it doesn't insult my intelligence. This show unfortunately insulted the absolute living shit out of my intelligence, but I'm still giving it a decent mark here, because the fact of the matter is they managed to put almost an hour's worth of wrestling in a 2-hour show, which has not happened for SmackDown, Raw, or NXT in easily, if I go back and look, easily it's been 2 years since they hit the 50% mark on any show WWE branded. And I'm also counting PLEs, because they have not hit a 50-50 mark even on PLEs, where half of the 4-hour show was wrestling and the other half was commercials. So that's something WWE did right. Now, what they've done wrong so far, there was no right or wrong in Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. Neither one of them are going to do that well with the belt. And I really thought for a little while that Cody was keeping it warm for Roman. I don't know who he's keeping it warm for now. I really want to say I think he's still keeping it warm for Roman, but I don't believe that in my head. It's a popular thing to say. It makes sense when you say it enough that he's holding the title for Roman. Other than that, though, I don't see another explanation for it. The show was shit, but they at least gave us almost an hour's worth of wrestling, so I'm giving it a passable grade. I mean, passable for me is a 1, because usually my WWE shows are coming in at -10, no moment. This one right here was a 1 for me. The Winged Eagle belt being a good moment of the night. Chelsea Green winning the U.S. title being a good moment of the night. So at least, and the fact that they almost wrestled a full hour of television time. They did wrestle a full hour of wrestling in a 2-hour and 10-minute show. So that is, 40%, in the high 40% mark for in-ring time. They don't get close to half. They don't get close to half. And I'm including the pre-show in there, the whole 9 yards. The pre-show doesn't give much wrestling either. It's not like AEW where they've got 0 hour where you pick up 3 matches in the 0 hour time. And they still do a lot of talking. The 0 hour time still comes up with half wrestling, half talking. See, they don't get that far. They don't get that far. But Like I said, Saturday night's main event had at least almost an hour's worth of wrestling in a 2 hour show. If they can keep that progress going on, I can at least give them a passing grade for making it that far, because that is a monumental achievement for regular television to actually get past that 30-minute mark. There was a Raw that was like, I want to say 4 weeks ago. No, I take that back. There was a 3 hour Raw before they went to 2 hour Raws. There was a 3 hour Raw that had 17 minutes and 27 seconds of wrestling in 3 hours. Like barely a quarter hour of one of the 3 hours was wrestling. So for them to get to this point in time where we've got almost an hour's worth of wrestling, that's a good start. You see the sun hitting my bald head. That's great. I just noticed that. But overall, I mean, I'm giving it a 1 at that point. I'm not giving it overall on a scale of 1 to 10. I give it a 1 because they had the Winged Eagle belt and the right person won the U.S. title, and they had almost an hour's worth of wrestling. That's good enough for me to give it a passing grade. So passing for me is a 1. You're not going to find many shows that get up into the excellent, and even very few. I don't give that kind of courtesy to AEW either. Some of their shows recently have been pretty bad too. Now they're starting to turn it around, but some of their shows have been like that as well. So when you hear me criticizing WWE, just know that when I do an AEW review, I'm often critical of them as well, because we give honest reviews around here. We give fair reviews. But yeah, Cody Rhodes would win the match with Crossroads on a chair, counted by the ref from the floor. The best part of the whole show happens after that. Now we get the video package of Kevin Owens coming in with the package pile driver, standing on top of Cody, holding his title up, getting into it with Triple H. All that should have been on this show, and that is categorically the opinion of every podcaster out there, but it was my opinion. The minute I saw that, I'm like, if they had thrown that in at the end of the show, if they'd taken a couple of minutes away from Gunther's match, if they'd have taken a couple of minutes away from Sami Zayn's match and had 4 minutes left and done that at the end of the show, this show would have been very passable, because you had actual drama that you could actually see, that you could actually tie into the actual program that's going on. This Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens program. Kevin Owens hating the whole world because you guys helped out Roman Reigns. That would have been a signature point. And for whatever reason, Triple H was just like, hey, let's wait till the camera dies. I don't know why. If he had done that, that would have made it a reasonably passable match. Yeah, I got to the rating. Anyway, tonight we are going to be doing a live watch along with New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Style Evolve. It's going to carry Mercedes Moné, and it's going to have Mina Shirakawa in it. That's the main reason I'm covering that for the live watch along. Main reason I spent money on the match. I want to see these women wrestle outside of AEW. I want to see how they put matches on outside of AEW. So we're going to be doing that tonight. And then tomorrow we're going to be doing a live watch along for WWE Raw. I'm also going to have a live review of New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Style. I think if I can get all the names right on this show, if I can get all the names right and get them all written down and so on and so forth, and I get to where I can pronounce them correctly or so on and so forth, we're going to do a live review of New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Style Evolve tomorrow before we do the live watch along with WWE Raw. So, yeah, we got a busy week ahead of us here. We got Raw, we got Dynamite, we got NXT, we're coming up on the last episodes of Rampage, at least in the U.S. market. And I'm also going to have a couple of thoughts on television time and everything else, and why the average AEW fan doesn't get upset. Well, not why the average AEW fan gets upset. People who understand television don't get upset with AEW's numbers. I'm going to break that down like a fraction, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that part of it too. And that's going to be on the probably on the live watch along some tonight. Going to be at least on the live watch along for Raw tomorrow. and it's probably going to interject itself. If I can do a live review of New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Style Evolved, I'm going to open up. It's going to be part of my pre show thoughts there on why these promotions are catching TV time when you don't think they should. And that's all going to be live tomorrow. But for today, hey, we had almost 70 viewers. We had almost 70 viewers today, and I'm very thankful for that. Very thankful for you guys showing up today. I know you had other things to do. You chose to come here, and I do appreciate you. And we're going to see you tonight for the live watch along here on the Graps TV and the Sicko Show. I've been your host, the Matty Man. So I want you to have a great rest of your afternoon. If I don't see you again for the live watch along, I'll see you tomorrow. If I don't see you tomorrow, I'll see you down the road. But you know what? Instead of saying good night, America, I'm going to say good afternoon, America, wherever you are, and we'll see you at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Y'all take care. Thank you again. Thank you for everybody showing up. Made this old man happy. I appreciate you. We'll see you again here around 8 o'clock.